thinks Whoopi's skin is a very pretty brown.
Oh, well, thank you, Elmo. Hey, you know what?
Huh?
I like your fur, too.
Really?
Yeah.
This divided world and giving kids a young start at being accepting and not saying, oh, you're not like me, I don't like you. Because kids, babies, see color, skin color. They see, oh, you're different from me. I don't know. So I think what Sesame was trying to do is to say, oh, you're different from me. Oh, isn't that interesting? You know, so that they'll lean forward instead of the lean back.
High five, Julia. Huh? Huh? High five?
One of the things we did a couple of years ago, I think 1 in 35 kids in the U.S. is on the autism spectrum.
She may not do what you expect, like give you a high five.
Yeah, she does things just a little differently, in a Julia sort of way.
Oh, okay.
And so we have an autistic character, and I said, well, let's put her on the show. So we did, and the response was just overwhelming. So many people with such incredibly heartfelt stories. She's only in about 4 or 5 shows a season, but she shows up. You know, we have stories that feature her particular skills. So, for instance, she has great visual acuity. So when they play a game of Find the Hidden Shape, Julia is, you want her on your team.
Yeah, which is the whole point of the message.
Big Bird, don't you remember we told you Mr. Hooper died?
Experiencing Mr. Hooper's death on the show was so poignant, and it covered a really hard topic from a very childlike point of view. So it's all from Big Bird's point of view, and he doesn't understand that Mr. Hooper's not coming back, and he's made this picture for him, and they have to tell him that he's not coming back. And it's hard for him to understand. He doesn't get it right away.
Big Bird, when people die, they don't come back.
Ever?
No, never.
That was the first time that dying had been discussed on the show.
I believe so. Well, it was an actual person, too,
That was a fascinating way to treat the death of a cast member, to make that a first for the program.
I agree. But that's so Sesame, right? To take reality and make it part of the narrative. It's actually one of the things that when you ask people what they remember about Sesame Street, it's one of the things a lot of people remember. Because I think they were so deeply touched by it. People remember funny things about Sesame Street. How many people I've talked to that said they learned English from Sesame Street.
Well, what about my nest?
And then, there was a hurricane that destroyed Big Bird's nest, which sort of reflected what had happened to a lot of kids in the U.S. for Sandy and Katrina. His home is destroyed, and he doesn't know what to do, and everything's not okay, and life is bad, and, Emilio comes over to him and says, well, no, you're right, everything's not okay, but we're going to try to make it okay.
We all know you can't get HIV just by touching someone or by being friends with them.
HIV comes to mind as another first. Do you think that's sort of one of the most poignant?
I think brave and poignant. I don't know what the percentage of people in South Africa who were HIV positive and had full-blown AIDS at that point, but it was a huge part of the population. Still is a very big part of the population in terms of being HIV positive. For kids to see the puppets touching and playing with Cammie, who is HIV positive on the South African show, was like, wow. It really made them think and made parents, I think, feel like they were less alone and that their disease did not make them outcasts. I believe Sesame is in 150 countries around the world, and they all have a local character. And certainly there's a sort of localized curriculum. You find out what's going on here. Oh, AIDS. Let's talk about that. What's going on in India? Oh, girls aren't going to school. Let's have a girl puppet who goes to school. And these things really make a big, big difference. Also in India, our character talks about sanitation around the latrine. So just washing your hands, wearing shoes. And because that's a part of the world where more people die of diarrhea than anything else. So washing your hands can save your life.
Do you get any feedback from governments or authorities saying, look, these messages on hygiene really have made a difference?
Oh, yes. Yes, we do a lot of evaluating and post-mortem testing of, whether or not our messages are having any effect. And I think we've seen both in the case of WASH and the case of the girl puppet in Afghanistan and India, made big differences. You hear dads saying, oh, okay, I think I'm going to send my daughter to school too. So, and the numbers about girls attending even elementary school are incredibly impactful in that girls who don't go to school are much more likely to have childhood marriages and have children at a very early age. And so I think if this is a part of the giving people hope. You give them a dream to live up to.
Hello, I'm Liz Hayes. Thanks for watching. To keep up with the latest from 60 Minutes Australia, make sure you subscribe to our channel. You can also download the 9 Now app for full episodes and other exclusive 60 Minutes content.